All right, buckle up. We're diving deep today into some serious personal growth strategies.
Sounds good to me.
You sent over this amazing YouTube video
Yeah.
by Jim Rohn. It's called 10 Things You Must Work On Every Day. And let me tell you, it is packed with wisdom, the kind of stuff we can actually use.
Do you think so? I
I-
haven't seen it yet.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Jim Rohn, he's a total legend in the motivational speaking world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've heard the name.
I have a feeling we're going to uncover some serious game-changing ideas today.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig in. What's the plan?
Okay, so basically, we're going to unpack Ron's 10 daily disciplines. Those little things you can do every day.
Yeah, the small stuff.
Exactly, because those small, consistent actions, they can really add up over time.
It's crazy how much impact little things can have over time.
It's true. All right, so the first discipline Ron talks about is the power of a positive attitude.
Okay, I like it already.
He uses this analogy of a magnet. He says that a positive attitude attracts opportunities. And on the flip side, negativity repels them.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right. It's like if you're walking around with a negative vibe, good things are going to steer clear.
Yeah, you kind of put out what you get back, don't you?
Exactly. But what's interesting is it goes beyond just like thinking positive thoughts.
Uh-huh.
It's about how that attitude translates into action.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? It's one thing to think it, but it's another to actually do something.
Right. So someone with a positive attitude, they're more likely to put themselves out there, network, actually seek opportunities out.
They go after what they want.
Totally. And when things get tough, they see setbacks as temporary. They see challenges as opportunities for growth.
Yeah, that mindset shift is so powerful.
It really is. It's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Ooh, I like that.
So a positive attitude helps you stay prepared, helps you stay open to those lucky breaks.
Yeah, I think we've all met people who just seem to attract good luck. And, I bet a lot of it has to do with their attitude.
Totally. And they're also more resilient, right? Think about, you ever notice that about people with a positive attitude?
Uh-huh.
They bounce back from setbacks more quickly.
Yeah, and they don't let negativity just, drag them down.
Exactly. So then the question is, how do we actually cultivate that positive attitude every day?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. Because Ron mentions things like practicing gratitude, embracing optimism,
Mhm.
focusing on solutions instead of dwelling on problems, right?
Yeah. So many good things. But how do we actually make those things a habit? Not just fleeting thoughts.
That's the hard part.
It is, right. It's got to be more than just, reading an inspirational quote and then forgetting about it.
It's about those conscious choices.
Uh-huh. Like what?
Like, for example, instead of complaining about the traffic on your way to work,
Oh, tell me about it.
you could use that time to listen to an inspiring podcast or an audiobook,
Oh, well, that's a good one, yeah.
something that lifts your spirits.
I like that.
Or even something as simple as at the end of each day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for.
Yeah, that's classic. But it works.
It does. It's just those small shifts in perspective. Over time, they can create a more positive outlook.
I think it's so easy to get caught up in the negative,
It is.
especially these days, with everything going on in the world.
You're right.
So it's more important than ever to consciously focus on the good. And that takes effort, It's not always easy.
It's not, but it's worth it. All right, so moving on to the second discipline. This one's all about communication.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
We all know it's important, but Ron really takes it a step further. He says it's way more than just talking.
Okay, I'm curious.
Really understanding the other person's perspective.
Oh, that's huge.
It's about active listening, asking clarifying questions, paying attention to their nonverbal cues, like their body language and stuff.
So it's not just about getting your point across. It's about making sure that you're actually being understood.
Yeah, and that you're understanding them too.
Right, it's a two-way street.
And choosing your words carefully is crucial.
Oh, for sure. Words have so much power.
They really do. Think about how many arguments could have been avoided
Oh, I know, right.
if people were just more mindful of their language.
And if they just made a genuine effort to see things from the other person's point of view.
Exactly. It's about bridging that gap between intent and impact.
Because what we intend to say, it's not always how it's received.
Right. And this applies to everything. Personal relationships, professional negotiations, everything.
It does. And if you think about it, clear communication, it's essential for building trust. resolving conflict,
Yeah.
fostering those strong connections.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Say you're in a situation where communication has completely broken down.
Okay.
Maybe there's a misunderstanding or there's a conflict. What's like one actionable step you can take to get things back on track?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Hmm. I would say one of the most powerful things you can do is just to pause and ask, can you help me understand your perspective?
That is so simple, but so powerful.
It is, right, because it shows that you're genuinely interested in hearing their side of the story
Mm,
and that you're willing to put in the effort to find that common ground.
totally. It's about shifting from being right to being understanding. All right, let's move on to the third discipline. This one I think a lot of us struggle with. It's self-discipline.
Uh-oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It is,
Yeah.
right. And Ron uses this really powerful image. He talked about self-discipline as the bridge between our goals and actually achieving them.
Okay, I like that analogy.
So if you think about it, we can have all these amazing goals and dreams,
Uh-huh.
but if we don't have the discipline to follow through,
And they just stay dreams.
they'll never become reality. And he tells this really interesting story
Huh.
about a young man that he mentored. This guy was super talented. He had all this potential, but he just lacked that self-discipline.
Hmm.
He would constantly start new projects,
Uh-huh.
never finishing any of them, always getting distracted by the next shiny object.
I think I know a few people like that.
We all do, right? What do you think the takeaway is for us from that story?
Well, I think it shows that focus and follow-through are just as important as talent and ideas.
You know, it's great to have those big dreams and exciting ideas, but without the discipline to actually execute them, they'll remain just that, ideas.
Yeah, and execution's everything, isn't it?
It is. So it's about channeling our energy and efforts into completing tasks, even the small ones, instead of spreading ourselves too thin.
Right. Focus on one thing at a time.
And don't forget, self-discipline, it's a muscle.
Right.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So true.
So start small, build that consistency, and gradually increase the challenge.
Yeah. So instead of trying to overhaul your entire life overnight,
Mhm.
just focus on building one small positive habit at a time.
Exactly. Like maybe you commit to waking up just 15 minutes earlier each day, to fit in a workout, to meditate.
Right. Or even just to read for a little bit.
Exactly. It's those small wins that build momentum, and then they give you the confidence to tackle bigger challenges down the road.
And it all starts with making a conscious choice to just show up for yourself each day, even when it's hard.
I love that. Okay, so ready for the next one? This one can be a bit of a mental roadblock for people. It's all about limiting beliefs.
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
It is. So Ron argues that many of us are held back not by external circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
but by the beliefs that we hold about ourselves and the world.
It's crazy how much our beliefs can shape our reality,
It really is. But the
Yeah.
good news is, he says, those beliefs can be changed.
which is empowering when you think about it.
So it's about becoming aware of those negative self-talk patterns.
All those I can't and I'm not good enough thoughts.
Exactly, and then actively challenging them. But how do we actually reframe those limiting beliefs into something more empowering?
It starts with questioning the validity of those beliefs. Are they based on facts?
Mm.
Or are they just, fear and insecurity?
Yeah, good question.
So let's say you have a limiting belief I'm not good at public speaking.
Right.
You got to start by asking yourself, is that really true? Or am I just afraid of failing?
And I guess it's about looking for evidence to support a more positive belief.
Yeah. Instead of focusing on past experiences where you might have stumbled, think about times when you've successfully communicated your ideas, even in small settings,
Right. And this all ties into the concept of a growth mindset.
which is the belief that our abilities aren't fixed, but can be developed through effort and learning.
That makes so much sense. It's shifting from I can't to I'm learning or I'm getting better.
Exactly. It's a process.
It is.
Be patient with yourself, celebrate those small victories, and just keep practicing.
And over time, you'll see those limiting beliefs start to lose their power. All right, let's shift gears now. Let's talk about something that we all have in equal measure.
What's that? Money.
Close. Time.
Ah, yes, time. The great equalizer.
Exactly. So Ron emphasizes that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but how we use that time makes all the difference.
Time management is such a struggle for so many people.
It is, right. But he makes this great point about not just working harder, but working smarter.
Oh, tell me more about that. I like the sound of that.
So it's about prioritizing tasks, Setting clear goals,
Mm.
creating a schedule that actually allows you to focus on the things that matter.
Makes sense.
Because it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life.
Yeah, and feel like we're just constantly running from one thing to the next.
Us. And then we have to ask ourselves, are we actually being productive or are we just busy for the sake of being busy?
Right. Busyness doesn't always equal productivity.
Definitely not. And you know what else Ron suggests?
What's that?
Planning our breaks.
Really? Planning breaks.
He emphasizes that rest and rejuvenation are just as important as action and productivity.
He's got a point. It's about creating that sustainable rhythm for ourselves, one that allows us to be productive without burning ourselves out.
That's a good way to put it. And he offers this really simple but powerful tip.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Start each day with a plan. Map out your priorities. Delegate tasks if you can, or eliminate them.
And schedule those breaks. Make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Exactly. So when we manage our time effectively, what happens?
Well, I'd say we reduce stress, we increase our productivity, and then we free up space to focus on the things that actually bring us joy and fulfillment.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So it's about taking control of our time instead of letting it control us.
Love that.
Okay, are you ready for another wake-up call?
Hit me with it. I'm feeling motivated today.
All right, Ron says, in today's world, things are changing so fast.
Uh-huh.
If we're not learning, we're falling behind.
Yeah, it's like the world's on fast forward.
It really is. So think about a skill that you've developed recently.
Okay.
How much more confident and capable did it make you feel?
Learning new things is definitely a confidence booster.
It is, right? So continuous learning is essential, both for your career and for your personal fulfillment.
Knowledge is power, as they say.
It really is. And he quotes his own mentor, Mr. Shelf. He said, "The more you learn, the more you earn."
I like that.
And I think it applies to so much more than just money.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So the question is, in a world where information's everywhere,
Right. It's at our fingertips.
what are some practical ways we can incorporate learning into our daily lives?
Well, there's so many options.
I know, it's almost overwhelming.
It can be, yeah. I mean, we can read books and articles. We can listen to podcasts, take online courses, attend workshops, even just having conversations with people who have different perspectives than our own.
I love that you mentioned the importance of diverse perspectives, because it's so easy to get stuck in our own echo chambers, you know?
It is, but when we actively seek out those different viewpoints, it just expands our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps us see the world in new and interesting ways.
I'm with you there. All right, ready to talk about something that hits close to home for a lot of us?
Oh, no. What is it?
Finances.
Oh, that's always a fun one.
You know, Ron emphasizes that our financial situation, it's something that we create. It's not something that just happens to us.
We're not just victims of circumstance.
Exactly. And like any area of life, it requires consistent attention and improvement.
And a lot of people, they struggle with money not because they don't earn enough, but because they haven't developed healthy financial habits.
It's so true. Have you ever looked at your bank statement and wondered where all the money went?
I think we've all been there at some point.
I know I have. But Ron says even small changes in our financial habits can make a huge difference over time.
That's good to hear. Small changes.
It starts with basic financial literacy, understanding how to track your expenses, how to create a budget, how to manage debt effectively.
Yep.
And he offers this really simple advice. He says, spend less than you earn and invest the rest.
It sounds so easy when you put it like that.
It does, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
putting it into practice, it's a whole other story.
That's for sure.
So do you have any tips for someone who's struggling to get their finances in order? Like, where do they even begin?
Start by tracking your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a budgeting app, a spreadsheet, even just a notebook. Just write down where your money's going each month.
Oh, I like that.
It's that awareness alone that can be a game changer. And once you have a clear picture of your spending habits, then you can start making adjustments.
That makes sense. And it's about making those conscious choices about how we spend our money.
Right, like do you really need that daily latte? Or could you make coffee at home and save that money for something more meaningful?
Exactly. And those small savings, they add up over time. And another important aspect is developing a saving habit, even if it's just a small amount each month.
Yeah, even putting aside $5 or $10 a week can make a difference. It's about starting somewhere. And over time, those small amounts can grow into something substantial.
I love that. So it's not just about earning more, it's about managing what we have effectively.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of compound interest. The earlier you start investing, even small amounts, the more time your money has to grow.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about attitude, communication, self-discipline, limiting beliefs, time management, even finances.
Wow, that's a lot. It's amazing how all these things are connected, though.
It is, right. It's like they all build upon each other. It creates this powerful framework for personal growth.
It's like you can't really separate one discipline from the others. They all work together.
That's a good point.
Like, a positive attitude fuels self-discipline, which then helps you manage your time more effectively, which leads to greater success and ultimately more reasons to be grateful.
I love that. It's like a virtuous cycle, each discipline reinforcing the others. And it makes me think about how these principles could be applied not just to individuals, but to teams, organizations, even entire communities.
Yeah, imagine the possibilities.
Yeah, like imagine a workplace where communication's clear, it's empathetic, and people feel empowered to take ownership of their work.
And where everyone's committed to continuous learning and growth, supporting each other along the way, that's inspiring.
It is. So I guess the takeaway here is that it all starts with each of us. Taking that personal responsibility for our own growth and well-being.
Yeah. And by committing to these daily disciplines, we not only improve our own lives, but also inspire those around us to do the same. It's a ripple effect.
I love that. All right, so that wraps up the first set of disciplines. Are you ready to dive into the next part?
Oh, yeah, bring it on. I'm ready for more.
Let's do it. Okay, so we covered some pretty big stuff already, like attitude, communication, self-discipline, those limiting beliefs, time management, even got into finances a bit.
Yeah, we really did cover a lot.
But now I want to dive into something that I think is like at the core of who we are. It's personal development.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. So Ron, he emphasizes that life is all about growth. If we're not growing, we're stagnant.
And who wants to be stagnant, right?
Yeah. Nobody. Exactly. And what's cool is he doesn't define personal development in like this super narrow way. It's not just about, getting new skills for your job or climbing that corporate ladder.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's about becoming well-rounded, expanding your knowledge, cultivating your character, aligning your actions with like your core values.
It's like becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But it's multifaceted.
Right. There's so many pieces to the puzzle.
He breaks it down into a few key areas. There's self-awareness, skill development, emotional intelligence. It's like taking a personal inventory
Okay.
and figuring out where you want to grow.
That's a great analogy, like taking stock of where you're at.
Yeah, but with so many aspects to it, where do you even begin?
Good question. I think it starts with asking yourself some tough questions, like what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What am I truly passionate about?
Okay, those are good starting points.
And then, what kind of impact do I want to make on the world? Those answers, they can provide a roadmap for your personal growth journey.
So it's about getting to know yourself, but like on a deeper level.
Yeah. Figuring out what really matters to you, and then taking those intentional steps to become, like you said, the best version of yourself.
And it's ongoing, right? It's not like you just reach the destination and you're done.
Oh, absolutely not. It's a lifelong journey.
We're always learning and evolving. It's about embracing that process of becoming.
I love that.
Which actually leads perfectly into Ron's next discipline, purpose.
Okay, purpose. That's a big one.
It is. He believes that having that clear sense of purpose, it gives your life direction. And it really fuels you during those tough times.
Yeah, it's that why behind everything we do.
That's a good way to put it. And he makes a really important point.
What's that?
Purpose isn't always something you're born with.
Right.
It doesn't always hit you like a lightning bolt.
I think a lot of people struggle with that.
I think so too.
They're waiting for that big aha moment. But it doesn't always work that way.
It really doesn't.
Sometimes it just emerges gradually.
Yeah, through exploration, through experimentation, through reflection. And sometimes even it evolves over time as we grow and change.
Yeah, what we thought our purpose was 5 years ago, it might be completely different today.
That's so true. It's like a compass, guides us through life, helps us make choices that align with our values and aspirations.
I like that.
But what about those who are still searching for their purpose?
Yeah, they're out there. What advice would you give them based on Ron's wisdom?
Well, I'd say start by reflecting on what brings you joy.
Okay.
Think about what you're naturally good at. What problems in the world do you feel passionate about solving?
Yeah, what lights you up inside?
Exactly. So explore different activities, volunteer your time, have conversations with people who inspire you. It's all about gathering information, experimenting until you find something that truly resonates.
Yeah, you got to follow your curiosity, see where it leads.
Yeah. It's about being open to those possibilities, letting your purpose unfold naturally. Don't try to force it. And speaking of powerful forces, Ron's final discipline is one that can have a really profound impact on our overall well-being.
Okay, lay it on me. What is it?
Gratitude.
Ah, gratitude. Such a simple practice, but so powerful.
It really is. It's about shifting your focus from what we lack to what we already have.
Right. Appreciating the good.
Expressing thankfulness for all the people and experiences that enrich our lives.
It's easy to take those things for granted.
It is. He actually describes gratitude as a superpower
Okay, I can see that.
because it's like an antidote to negativity.
It's true. When you're feeling grateful, it's hard to be negative at the same time.
And it's like a magnet for positivity.
I like that.
When you practice gratitude, it's like you're training your mind. You start to see the world through a lens of abundance.
Instead of scarcity.
Exactly. And we start to notice all those small blessings that we often take for granted.
Yeah, and we develop a greater appreciation for the people in our lives.
It's like that saying, what you focus on expands.
Oh, that's a good one.
So if we're constantly focusing on what's wrong or what we're missing,
Then that's what's going to dominate our thoughts and our feelings.
but when we choose to focus on gratitude, it opens us up to all those good things. Joy, contentment, a deeper sense of connection to ourselves and the world around us.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
So how can we make gratitude a more consistent part of our lives?
That's the key, right? It's got to be a habit.
Yeah, what are some simple practices we can try to incorporate into our daily routines?
Well, one that I've heard is really helpful is keeping a gratitude journal.
Okay, I've heard of that. What do you do? Just write down a few things you're grateful for each day.
Exactly. 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for.
And they can be big or small, right?
Doesn't matter.
Like a beautiful sunset or a kind gesture from a stranger.
Exactly. It's just a tangible way to remind yourself of all the good.
Even on those days when it feels hard to see it.
Totally. What about other practices?
Another powerful one is expressing gratitude directly to the people who, make your life better.
Okay.
Like, take a moment to call a friend and tell them how much you appreciate their friendship.
Or write a thank you note to someone who's made a difference in your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's so easy to get caught up in our own lives and forget to acknowledge the people who support us and bring us joy.
It's true. We take them for granted sometimes.
We do, but it doesn't have to be this big, grand gesture.
Yeah.
Even a simple thank you, but with sincerity, it can brighten someone's day, and it strengthens that connection.
All right, so we've explored all 10 of Ron's daily disciplines, from that positive attitude to mastering our time to living with purpose and gratitude.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
These principles, they really offer a roadmap for creating a life that is meaningful and fulfilling.
And they remind us that we actually have more control over our lives than we often realize.
That's such an important point.
It's not about waiting for things to happen to us. It's about proactively taking steps to create the life we want.
And the best part is, we have the power to do that every single day.
Yeah, even in small ways.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Ron's wisdom, what's one key takeaway you hope our listener will walk away with today?
I think the biggest message here is that personal growth is a choice. It's a choice we make every single day. It's about taking ownership, cultivating those positive habits, and embracing the journey of becoming the best versions of ourselves.
And remembering that even small changes, when we do them consistently, can lead to some really amazing results.
Absolutely. It's all about progress, not perfection.
As we've been talking about these 10 disciplines, I've been thinking about how they're all connected.
Yeah.
Like they all build on each other
Right.
to create this framework for personal growth.
Yeah, you can't really separate one discipline from the others.
Right.
They all work together,
Right here?
synergistically.
Right.
For example, a positive attitude, it fuels your self-discipline, which helps you manage your time more effectively, leading to greater success, and then ultimately, more reasons to be grateful.
It's like this virtuous cycle,
Yeah.
each discipline reinforcing the others.
I like that.
And it makes me think about how these principles could be applied not just to individuals, but to teams, organizations, even entire communities.
Yeah.
Imagine if everyone embraced these disciplines.
The potential for positive change would be enormous.
It would.
Imagine a workplace where communication is clear and empathetic,
Okay.
and people feel empowered to take ownership of their work
Yeah.
and contribute their unique talents.
And everyone's committed to continuous learning and growth,
Right.
supporting each other along the way.
It's inspiring just to think about
It really is.
the ripple effect that these principles could have.
So it all starts with us, right?
It does.
Each of us taking personal responsibility for our own growth and well-being.
Yeah, and by committing to these daily disciplines, we not only improve our own lives,
Uh-huh.
but we inspire those around us to do the same.
I love that.
So as you reflect on Ron's 10 disciplines, what stands out to you the most?
That's a good question.
Which one resonates with you on a deep level, and how can you start putting it into action today?
Yeah, what's one small step our listener can take right now?
Because remember, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about making progress one small step at a time.
So choose one area where you want to grow.
Okay.
Set a small, achievable goal.
Yeah.
Make a commitment to show up consistently.
Even just 5 or 10 minutes dedicated to personal growth each day can make a difference over time.
That's true.
And don't be afraid to ask for support.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who believe in you and encourage your growth.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought.
Okay.
Jim Rohn said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." So what will your simple disciplines be?
Yeah, think about that.
What small, consistent actions will you take to create a life that is both successful and fulfilling?
The journey starts now.
Make the commitment to yourself and watch as your life begins to transform.
Keep learning. Keep growing.
And keep striving to become the best version of yourself.
Until next time,
Yeah.
keep diving deep.